Barbara, I would like to welcome you to my hometown, SISAK, and to this wonderful event that we do now for 6 years, and this conference that is 3 years old. And I'm really glad that you found time to actually join us here and be part of this and share some of your experience with us.
I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here. I've been to Croatia before, and it's certainly one of my favorite countries. And there's nothing I love more than talking about artificial intelligence and entrepreneurs.
So let's start with your company and what you do and how everything happened. Why did you switch from the investments and from the big corporations and decided to search for new talent?
Sometimes it's by accident that you discover a problem, something that you have friction with, and then you realize, wow, I'm not the only person who has this problem. So I was going to the usual sites like Expedia and Trivago and Booking.com, and they were giving me, when I was searching, they were giving me the same results. You search for London, you're going to get 2,000 or 3,000 results, the same results that everybody else in the world gets. And I realized it didn't matter that I had been on those sites 100 times before. They weren't using any of the data that they should have had collected about me. I said, wow, this is ridiculous. Why doesn't this work like Netflix or like Pandora, Spotify, some of the music apps that are very popular, and so many of the other apps that we use? And I thought, well, not only should it work like those other apps, meaning it should be a more personalized experience, but it can work like that, and I know how to do it. And that was the aha moment. And it was actually a bit crazy as I look back now. What seemed like such a simple idea, well, I'll just go build this, actually turned into a wonderful journey.
Let me just stop you here for a second, because there is a very important part here for the audience. How did you make that final decision? Because that is the big decision. Okay, I'm going to go into adventure. Yes, I'm going to do it.
Know. So there's a little bit of a scientific answer and then a less tangible answer. So the scientific answer is that I started doing research. So I identified a problem. It was a problem that I felt passionate about. I thought I had a solution, but that was it. So I just went out and asked as many people. And that was friends. I would ask friends, do you know anybody in the travel industry? I would talk with people who had more engineering and AI experience. Just spent a month or two really just doing field research. And I learned a lot. And I got lucky in this case that I stumbled upon the travel industry is a $7 billion industry. They haven't changed their technology for 20 years. And it's a massive problem for them.
So from Web 1.0, they did not change it. Right,
they haven't changed it. It's still enter your city and your dates, the period. Get 2003. Inventory has skyrocketed, but the search process itself has not changed for 20 years. There's a massive problem there. When I started talking with people in the industry, they would say, well, people are using their mobile phones more, and that's a problem because people don't have as much of an attention span on their mobile phone. And I very quickly realized, wow, you have no idea even how big the problem really is. The problem is that within months, within a year, people are going to want to book on Alexa. And how are you going to go from delivering 2,000 or 3,000 generic results to delivering 2 or 3 relevant results to somebody who wants to book through their AI assistant? And so
just to help, so what would you say second step in your journey was convincing others that they have a problem?
I would say not quite yet.
Yes.
In that journey, it was more understanding what the problem is. So it was saying...
So you were still working on yourself, understanding what the problem is, so you can address it all the way.
Yeah, exactly. And understanding the industry dynamics, and how, you can think you have a great idea, but if nobody wants to buy it, then your idea is worthless.
Well, that's what I was that's where I was going.
Yeah.
So at what point you were start selling your idea to others?
Yeah, so through this research, I started learning that everybody was facing this problem, that for the first time, company executives, travel industry executives, were putting the word personalization in their business plans for the next year, but they really hadn't done anything about it. And actually, they had no clue how to start solving the problem. But yet, it was very quickly becoming a buzzword because they had to be using the word in order to look like they were relevant, even though they hadn't done anything. So I realized through that process that, yes, this is a good idea. Yes, there's a need out there in the market. People haven't figured it out, so they'll probably be willing to pay for it too, because otherwise they'll be behind quickly.
After you did that, let companies start doing stuff. You employed people, and then you start looking for the clients. And let's start dipping into what you guys do now. So, what is the core collection part of the business?
Yeah, and that was an interesting evolution. One, that this search methodology, so our solution is we're using artificial intelligence to power search engines, to deliver more personalization in search results and relevance in search results. So that using deep learning, natural language processing, and some image recognition, we can provide the ability for you to go to any brand, just like you would on Google, but go to any site that you would be searching for something on and enter in a natural language search what that is that you care about, and then receive a set of results that are ranked according to the most relevant results that you're looking for. And we learned very quickly that this is not just a problem for the travel industry, but that it had a lot of use cases in other industries as well, including cars, and specifically as some of the car manufacturers are working towards their connected car strategy.
Let's compare a little bit. As you did work in Europe too, what parts of the Europe you saw the biggest growth in accelerators and the startups and actually startups that took off? It's not just a balloons, what I call, that pop up.
Sure. Well, London, of course.
Yes.
I think that would be the obvious. But I think you see a lot in Berlin and Amsterdam. And you see a lot so I spent a couple months in Amsterdam in this accelerator program, and you really see a lot of interest in supporting research and development and innovation. And these accelerators, like in the States, provide a tremendous amount of support, mentoring, discounts to services that you need. So we're actually in our third accelerator now. The first accelerator was called Plug and Play in Silicon Valley. The second was called Rockstart in Amsterdam. And now we're with Quake Capital in Los Angeles. This has been the best thing that has happened to us as a startup. So I heard a lot of discussion around how will universities fund the innovation and the time that's required, because especially when we're talking about new technology and AI, you're going to fail a lot before you actually build something that's meaningful. And it takes time, and AI takes time to train and to innovate, to pioneer. So these accelerators, I think, augment. Sure, people get grants from universities, but nobody's relying on that from what I see in the startup community. What's really helping to fuel the startup growth and innovation is in these accelerators. And this comes back, I think, to your earlier question around how do you get your first clients? And we were fortunate to join this accelerator in Silicon Valley called Plug and Play. And companies, large corporations, pay accelerators like Plug and Play hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to be able to get access to their pool of startups that have been selected, because they're actually very hungry to tap into that innovation, to find startups who can do in 7 days what it might take them 7 months to do.
How much of corporate money is really important to make this accelerator work and to be able to connect talent, new product, and the corporation that needs it?
Mm-hmm. I think I think it comes from two sources. One is the investors. So the venture capital firms, angel investors, are actually some universities who have their own angel investment groups, and that's helping to fuel a lot of the support for the startups. We were fortunate to be approached by Porsche as one example of a company who's looking for innovation through startups. But I think you have many medium to large size corporations who are looking at this as a source of their future innovation and growth. And I almost think it's looked upon negatively if they're not looking for this kind of innovation, because
So
how
it's
will they
becoming
stay
a
ahead?
trend.
I would say it's more than a trend, yeah.
Yes. And it is something that will not stop, because it is something that it's harvesting a new talent that actually comes to you.
Yeah, and while you may see, like, Maserati unveiled their beautiful new electric car the other day that's just stunning, you don't realize necessarily how many startups actually go into making an electric car come to life, or an autonomous vehicle, or vertical takeoff and landing. How many startups go into, hundreds go into just producing like a connected car strategy?
Because none of them produce everything.
Right.
And they all don't have expertise for everything. So you need those little elements to click in.
Startups
Yes.
that help actually make it
Yeah, so
reality.
Maserati would have a lot of different technologies, but it's under their umbrella, and
Right.
they were financing it, so they should get a credit.
They were investing in them,
Yeah.
and they may have acquired them,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah.
So that's great for a startup if you exit well. We used to sit in Plug and Play in Silicon Valley. We used to sit next to a team in the open co-working space, which is great because then you're around brilliant people who are all doing smart things.
So let's go back to Porsche, and as much as you can tell us how the future is going to look through that car, not specifically what they're going to put, but as much as you can tell us how the car is going to interact with us, and we will interact with car, and artificial intelligence will kick in to help us do that.
I'll try. That's a big question because there's a lot. But I think connected car is really the holy grail there. And that just means that the car will be connected with the internet, both as an interface between other cars as well as infrastructure. So I think the key areas there will be around monetize this data maybe for marketing purposes. How will we use the data to reduce costs within the organization? Maybe maintenance-related costs. And then I would say the third key around connected car and data is around how will we make infrastructure and roads and just transportation safer. For Porsche specifically, they found that they have 20-year-olds now who are buying $200,000 cars and aren't their typical Porsche drivers, who might be 50 or 60, and when they travel, they stay in, super expensive hotels and resorts. Well, now these 20-year-olds are spending $200,000 on cars, and they're staying in Airbnbs with a group of their friends, and they're just very, it's a very different.
They don't own anything but car.
Actually, as a matter of fact, that's a big concern. Is that the prediction is that car ownership will actually decrease. We're seeing so many more in Los Angeles where we live. We see so many more transportation sharing options. The vision is, your AI assistant will just arrange for the car to arrive when you need, and it will take you. The autonomous car, of course, will take you to where you need to go.
We're getting spoiled every day with new gadgets.
Yeah. But so in Porsche's case, they were looking for ways to how will we engage this new generation of Porsche customer, and they wanted to build an app that would be a lifestyle app that would get to know their would of course be collecting data, would get to know their customers. Where do you like to go? Where do you like to eat? What is your schedule like? And then eventually that would end up in the cars. that would be collecting data through the cars and through devices to be their connected car strategy. And as I said, there are many different startups that are involved. We're just one small sliver of that vision, and they're working with many different startups to try to make that vision a reality.
That's an important point. In a small company, it's always a problem when it needs to move to next level, when it's still attached to you. So is it going to grow, and you're going to let it grow and let it go to become a big corporation when it's not just you, but it's like multitude of teams?
Yeah.
Or you're just going to sell it and be done?
It really depends on where you are and your vision for the company, where you are in your personal life, I'm sure, how attractive the offers are, and what you want to do. We see acquisitions or exits range from what we would call an acqui-hire. It means that corporation is buying basically the team, which means you've got a team, maybe probably a small team of some really smart folks, within, smart engineers who have built something cool that somebody would like to, that a company would like to plug in to their company. Mainly, maybe they haven't built enough of a business yet. They may not have revenue yet or a lot of customers, and the team sees, maybe they're going to get money, they're going to get their options, maybe they've got a job with the company guaranteed for a couple years, and then maybe they'll start over and come up with another startup, or maybe they'll stay in the corporate world. That's at one end. In the middle, maybe you build something that is of value, and you actually get traction, show that you can get customers and build a business. And a corporation sees that that's of value. They want to plug it in, maybe because of the technology, maybe also because of the customers that you've built. Maybe it's a particular niche of customer, like millennial. And so the company is of value. And now all of a sudden here you put in your 3, 4, 5 years, and you're being presented with $10 million. Let's say that's maybe in the middle. And you say, okay, I'm out. I'm good. I'm going to sell this. And actually, there are other reasons than money. Sometimes you think, wow, I've built something cool. I really want the world to be able to access this and to use it. And in my limited resources, I can't make that happen.
You can go to next level.
Yeah, but Expedia can make that happen. Porsche can make that happen. And my vision is going to become worldwide. And that's super exciting. Then I would say that, the other extreme is you build a company like Uber or like Facebook, Snapchat, companies like that, and you say, oh, I'm really having too much fun and I'm becoming a billionaire and I'm not going to sell. So I'm sure they had offers along the way. So it really depends on where you are and your vision for the company. As you know, most startups don't make it, and that's why a lot of people are scared. So if you've gotten to that point where you have any one of those exit options, you've done incredibly well.
What is, by your personal experience, the recipe for a successful startup?
I don't know that there's a perfect recipe, but I think there are some ingredients that you can point to. Never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. So first is the tenacity. And you're going to hit a lot of roadblocks, and you're going to have a lot of failure. How many times, to the students in the room, how many times did your car just not work? Uh-oh, go back, try again. That's expected. And then 2, I think, is you have to be a lifelong learner. I think I can learn something from every single person in this room, and you have to always believe that you don't know enough and you need to learn more. Seek out the people who will help you make that vision a reality. And then I would say 3 is be able to take feedback. Look at feedback as data. Feedback is really just data collection. Good for you that you just got that piece of data. You're that much closer to success.
They did you a favor.
It's like dating. There are plenty of fish in the sea. You just have to find the right ones. Can I add one more point here, one quick plug? I have to say that every one of the students here who has built a solar electric powered car is already in the top 1% of kids in the world. Try to pin this guy down. He works very hard and is tremendously successful as well. So he's another great mentor and role model. So thank you. Thank you for all the great work you're doing here.